Dr. Taufik Raimi here with us. He is a development expert and political economist. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Kayla. Good morning.
So yesterday, the Attorney General of the Federation did say in his letter that this action by Labour, if they were embarked on it as they have now, was illegal. But we also saw the meeting between the leadership of the National Assembly and Labour trying to stave off this, but not sure it succeeded because, I mean, you could see now they've already kicked off and several sectors affected by the strike. Much as people say maybe both of them had the opportunity to ensure that this is sorted, but here we are again today and another round of industrial action. What say you?
Thank you for inviting me. My position on this is that when we went to parties or tripartite parties like we currently have on this national minimum wage setting comes to the table, the idea is to drive the issues to logical conclusion. I think the Attorney General of the Federation position is that according to the Act, the NLC, TLC, the organized labor, supposed to have given the federal government, or the governments as it were, notification, 14-day notice that they will be going on strike, which is believed that it hasn't been substantially complied with. Of course, Labour on their part said that they have made an announcement that if by end of May the negotiation is not concluded, they are going to embark on a nationwide strike. For me, I feel that this is avoidable. This should have been avoided because of the consequences, not just to our the damage to our economy as a nation, also even the life of our children. Imagine that WAEC examination is currently ongoing. Schools are shut, as I was called.
Yeah, but this was always going to be the consequences if they had embarked on the strike.
Yes.
And many also think, well, FG knew that this was going to be the likely scenario if they did not. So some thought maybe the FG took Labour for granted, and Labour thought, well, if you're going to take us for granted, what else do you want us to do?
Well, Chamberlain, I am not Mr. President, but I believe that Mr. President has been very sincere, very committed. Remember that he set up a 37-member panel as far back as January. It takes two to tango. What if the federal government was ready, state government was ready, the private sector, perhaps they were ready with what they believe is doable, affordable minimum wage. And of course, we all knew where the Labour started off from. Their demand for 600,000 plus,
what?
And government, as of today, as of yesterday, we learned that government offers 60,000. Of course, that will be seen as a far cry from what the Labour has demanded. My position on this matter is basically that as far as negotiation is concerned, it hasn't been said that it is closed. And the main issue we should be looking at as a nation, and as somebody who is a development expert, who has also seen this kind of labor strike. This is not the first time we're having it. Almost every administration is confronted with a strike of this nature, which we believe should be avoided if both parties have, or the tripartite parties have come up with objective analysis, presentations of what is doable. Affordability is the main issue as far as I've seen in this matter.
Okay,
what is
you're
affordable? Saying
Labour, their stance is not doable, FG stance is not doable. So what would you recommend then as the meeting point?
Okay, for me to answer this, I want to let you know, and our audience, that as far back as, I want to be a bit scientific and as quickly as possible, as far back, when we look at the revenue generation across the state, by last year, December 2023, do you believe that only 2 states of Nigeria has a combined federal allocation and their internally generated revenue enough to pay for their recurrent expenditure? Only 2 states in Nigeria.
How much are they paying
and
for minimum wage?
Lagos.
Those 2 states.
And that is Lagos. Lagos internally generated revenue was 635 billion naira.
How much are they paying for minimum wage?
And then they got only 177 from federal government.
Taufik, how much is Lagos paying for minimum
Lagos has even offered to pay 70,000 in this minimum wage.
70,000 realistic?
Okay.
For a state that gets that amount, those kind of resources?
No, the resources we are talking, I mentioned recurrent expenditure. We are not talking of capital expenditure. The money that accrued to government should not just only be seen as the one that will be paid, that will be used to pay for salaries alone. Of course, we have 11 states in this country that could not, even with the fact that they got last year, and the
I hear you for those states, but for the states that you say gets those kind of resources, are you happy with how much they are paying their workers?
Why 70,000 may be below the bed?
No, they're not paying 70,000 yet.
No, they've not. But I'm saying that
they're paying way below that.
If they pay below that, there are salary that a worker gets is not just enough. May not even ever be enough to take care of the expenditures that they are expected to be saddled with. What government is trying to do, for my own reading, is to provide an enabling environment. If you receive 100,000, you are going to go to the market to buy food.
They are not even receiving that. That's hypothetical.
Okay, that's hypothetical.
No, let's be honest with ourselves here. Because if we're looking at it, because that's exactly what Chimbali is trying to get, because you're an expert.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the minimum wage being paid in states like Lagos? Are you satisfied with that amount? Is that a logical amount for the amount of money that they make in internally generated revenue plus the FAC allocations? Is this a reasonable salary that is being paid already in Lagos? And the proposed 70,000, is it reasonable in your view?
In my view, the 70,000, if complemented with all the amenities that will make that money, the purchasing power of that particular amount to be effective, to me, is almost close to what is reasonable and fair.
Okay.
400 and something thousand.
So let's talk about. So that's where I'm going to right now.
Yes.
So the money that is being requested for by labor.
Yes. Do
you think it's unreasonable?
For me, it is not only unreasonable. It is unavoidable. We have to go, when you are as an employer, you have to look at other costs that you are saddled with. Remember that the national minimum wage is not just for federal government to pay.
So what's a reasonable amount that labor should ask for? Because they've down tools.
Yes.
It's affecting all of us.
Exactly.
What is a reasonable? So because maybe if the voices speaking up on what is a reasonable amount start to get louder, maybe they can shift some ground, right?
Yes.
So what do you think is a reasonable amount for labor to request?
Okay.
Based on the economic realities of our country right now.
Exactly. That is quite right. But I will also quickly let you know, before I just summarize on what may be reasonable.
Okay.
You understand? It is not me that is going to pay that money. We have to look at the pulse of all the states that are concerned and also the private sector. We have 11 states as of the end of December last year, whose IGR and fact that they received were not enough to pay for their recurrent expenditure.
Okay.
So if you now increase the amount, the minimum wage astronomically, where would they get the money from?
Okay. So what's the reasonable amount?
The reasonable amount that, based on analysis, 100,000 to 120,000 might sound very comfortable in a way.
Based on which analysis?
Based on the analysis of what a minimum, what should be the minimum pay of the lowest.
Which analysis?
The analysis
so
here is.
The
analysis here is what is it that such, based on that cadre, is expected to spend on food? What kind of rent is expected for that caliber of staff? What allowance could be made for children of such
let him tell us. Let's break it down.
So that is the breakdown.
Doctor, she has a pen.
Yes.
Break it down for us.
Yes.
100,000.
So I'm listening to you. You said feeding.
Okay, yes, if you put me on this.
With the 100,000 naira.
Yeah.
120.
Feeding, how much should I spend on feeding?
120.
Let's say I belong to that cadre.
Yes.
And you say, okay, 100,000 should be okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how much should I spend on feeding?
At least you spend, say, 30 to 40% of that.
Okay, that's 30,000. Because it's 100,000 we're talking about.
Yes, because you're not going to buy a bag of rice and finish it in 1 month.
Accommodation.
Which is the accommodation, because of where such person would live.
You
live in Abuja. And again, if you work with federal government or state, or
I work in Ministry of Education.
You can work in Ministry of Education. They also have subsidized housing. Do you know?
Okay, so how much?
If you take 10% or 15%,
so 10,000 a month.
Is that under the bridge? What is?
Let's find
it's not under the bridge because it's subsidized. It's subsidized.
Okay. So I've fed myself, I've accommodated myself.
Yes, transportation.
How do I get to work? Yes.
Yes, government has already put in place transportation system that enables you. You see, that is why it has to be holistic.
Yes.
You understand?
Is it free? This transportation system, is it free?
In Abuja, for instance, since you mentioned Abuja, it's free for the next 6 months if you take the train.
Okay. But I live in Kubwa.
Yes.
My office is in Federal Secretariat.
Yes.
Which train am I taking, sir?
No, you have even if you don't take train, there are shuttle buses that federal government have allowed.
Okay, so I take the shuttle bus.
Yes.
It's free. You're saying it's free?
It's free.
They will attack you on social media.
No, wait. Let me tell you.
Hold on. Just
even if they like,
which shuttle bus is this? How come I've never seen it?
Federal government, most of the ministries, they have buses that Yes, I think even the press should help in this matter.
Okay.
If you go to Mabushi, for instance, Federal Ministry of Housing.
Yes.
If you go, you will see buses.
How many percentage of people work in federal government?
No. I'm just telling you this.
So I've fed myself. I've accommodated myself.
Yes.
I've paid for transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
You make allowance for your children's school.
No.
You understand?
Let's assume I don't have children.
Okay.
But for many people from my cadre right now in this Ministry of Education that I'm working in, many of us will have children. Right?
Yes.
So let's say I have 2 children.
Yes.
Okay. So this feeding.
Your arithmetics.
This feeding of 30,000, was it only me or me and my children?
Yes, you work for. Of course, when you hand salary, it is not just going to be. And you remember also, you said. You cited your as an example. You said you are the only one person. Okay.
So this salary will be good for people that don't have families.
No, even if they do, what I'm trying to let you know is that, you see, the target of federal government, for instance, is to ease other things that will make...
So electricity. So my electricity bill.
Yes, electricity bill. How much?
I'm band F.
Band health?
Based on this rent that I'm paying, so this 10,000 now.
Which band F?
I don't know now. But based on this 10,000, we cannot be band A, B, or C.
Oh, you cannot be because, of course, you know where band A and where band B is.
I know you answered that one. Please give us the
electricity.
Electricity?
You spend, how much can I spend? I live in Kubwa, I told you earlier.
Yes.
So how much do you think I spend on electricity?
You can spend 20,000 on that. Add it up. How much have you gotten?
Altogether now,
yes,
I have done now 60,000. Assuming that the shuttle bus picks me up every day and I don't have to pay transport to and from work.
And I told you that, of course, the government is concerned that, or whoever the employer is concerned, is also concerned about your children going to school.
Okay.
You know, there will be allowance that will be allowed for education of your children. Okay. And your children are not expected to go to private school if you are under cadre, for instance. Yes. And also government has come up with a student loans board. Student loan, you know, which is also going to make things. That's why I said the best way to look at this national minimum wage is not to look at just the wage itself. What are the other cushioning effects? What are the other things that government is putting in place to make it work?
So you see with these figures that we've tried to collate here, we haven't even gone halfway of our expenses as
yes, yeah.
But 60,000 naira already gone into all of this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But
that's why I said,
as a person,
yes,
with 10,000 naira in a year. So 10 times 12. That means I'm paying a rent of 100. Where, sir?
It is possible.
Where?
You say you live in Kubwa.
Yes, where in Kubwa? Where?
Such a
120,000 naira rent.
Yes, between 100 and 150,000 can get you an accommodation.
Where?
The Kubwa you mentioned, Kubwa is expanding.
It's not true, sir.
How much is it?
It's not true. The minimum rent you can get in Kubwa, the minimum you can get is 500,000. That's the minimum.
That's the minimum?
Yes.
Depending on the kind of house that you are talking about.
So which kind of house am I going to pay? Is it cardboard box that I'm going to live in?
You see,
am I going to live in an IDP camp?
And I've also told you that this is a subsidized housing. You understand?
Yes.
I'm not saying that where you go and then, the space should be like this, kitchen should be like this, and all that.
Well, I wind it down now.
So I can agree.
When you say all of these things and just listen to you, you just make it look as if it's a society that all of these things you mentioned, the boss, student loan scheme, as if they are all
as they're already there.
Okay.
They're not.
These things are working.
I thank you for this question. Let me tell you, that is why we have to build confidence in our current administration. Wait.
We understand you will build confidence.
You understand? You build confidence. Look, you cannot. You don't spoil a well before you allow somebody to drink out of it.
In the first instance, government has not even offered this 100,000 that you're talking about.
That's why
I have not.
That's why I'm saying that the 60,000 that government has proposed, they've not said that's the last they are going to pay. It's negotiation. Negotiation is still ongoing.
You said it yourself that they put up this committee in January.
Yes.
And from January to June, how many times has fuel price changed? How many times have you gone to the market and the commodities have risen? How many times have you given people money to go buy something and it's tripled? From January to June.
Chamberlain.
If you were negotiating, you're a property person.
Your program
if you were a landlord, you will kick out your tenant. They tell you that.
On your program yesterday, if you also watch your program, when Sheon Okebaloye, politics, Sunday politics, he brought in the Minister of Finance, who also talk about economic stability plan of the government. You understand? We have come to a point whereby this is the same thing that the Labour is doing. While I sympathize with Labour, all of us are in the market, in that same market. But we must be conscious of what is
so when you go to the market, you tell them economic stability plan, say don't increase that price.
No. Even that price that is being increased.
We need to be realistic about something. If they have plans, it's a different thing if government has plans to let those things work.
Yes.
And secondly,
for me, I still have not believed that government does not have plans.
We've got our correspondent, Dari, who is on standby to give us an update on what's going on about the strike as well. In Lagos, where you say that they're not even paying the 70,000 minimum wage, in spite of all the resources they've got. Dari, what's going on?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. I've been going around this morning. I'm currently in Alausa area of Lagos, and you know where that is. It's the seat of power here in Lagos, and that is where a lot of government offices are situated. So I'm standing in front of the Lagos State Revenue House. On my left is the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. So just to give you an idea that this is where you will find a lot of states and federal workers. So what we noticed this morning was that a lot of these workers resumed their daily routine. They did their daily routine by resuming to the office, but the gates were locked. Say some meters away from here as well, that is where you have the state-owned TV station, the Federal Inland Revenue. All of those places are locked, and they're not just locked. I think the NLC and the TUC have been able to get the buy-in of some of the other trade union or the unionists to enforce this. So at every point you see the unionists going there just to make sure that there's a high level of compliance with what is going on. We've also touched base with, say, private sector or private institutions, so to say. There's a bank down the road, and we asked them, they're not also open to the public for service this morning. So to an extent, it's the first day of this strike, and from what we have gathered here in Lagos, even from the commercial activities on the road, I can tell you that there's a high level compliance to that strike. Chamberlain.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Dari. So as you've seen, Doctor, the strike is on in different parts of the country, but I think they've also tried to raise this issue time and again. If you're going to embark on strike, all well and good, but there are certain conditions precedents, and they also argue, can I be forced to join a strike if I want to go to work?
Well, that's what
They
unions.
don't have a right.
I think that's the thing about unions, isn't it? They can force you. I was going to say the man was holding a cane.
That's violating.
That man in that video was holding a cane. Is he going to flog people?
No, he does not. He does not because he.
But you see, that's the thing about unionism. It's a group effort.
It's a group thing.
And you have to be, if you're part of this, then you have to adhere to them. If you choose not to, you say it's my right, I want to. Yeah, well, that's entirely up to you. And good luck with that. You know, but listening to you this morning,
the hypothetical minimum wage.
Yes, I think that we have to be more realistic, sir, in the way that we engage with government and explain things, because you can't put up. This is 100,000. You said 100 to 120,000 naira should be enough with these figures, with the economic situation. I can put it to you directly, sir, that it is not possible to survive on this amount. In Nigeria at this moment, it's not possible. The shuttle bus doesn't come to my house to pick me. I have to take a bike from whatever dingy village you've put me in with 120,000, where I'm paying 120,000 naira rent. I have to find some way to get to where the shuttle bus is.
Yes.
Even if the bus is free. With that alone, my money is gone.
Okay, let me quickly assist. This is why also in development of a city like Abuja, I have particularly proposed decentralization of development. Development should not just be concentrated within the city center. Though, like what you mentioned, if there are certain ministries that can be deployed into different districts, the need to move into the city center will reduce. Abuja was meant to house only 400,000 people at the inception. Today, Abuja is housing 4 million, 6 million. People like you who lives in Cuba should not even come to the city center. As you said.
Shots fired.
People like you. You should have the kind of business you can do within that locality that can still generate you even enough money. The money you are making is being spent on things that are also exquisite. That's part of it. Look at when the law school is where? It's in Buhari. People who work
the pure water business.
Not even as federal government or state government. That's why I'm telling you.
Even that one is capital intensive.
You can have.
Business can we start like this?
Yes, there are. I can advise you. Even if you work for government, like I said, government can actually move some of their ministries. Look at what is happening along the airport road.
But Doctor,
some ministries are there, and they are not. They are also, their houses are also just around that same location. So the analysis one is trying to propose is not for people to live in Mowe, Ogun State, and be going to work in VI. There's no amount of money government will pay that will be sufficient. So we must look at affordability. That is just my key point here. I'm saying that whatever amount that government want to agree, be assured that that amount is also going to be paid by the private sector. So,
you suggest 100,000?
I suggest 120,000.
120,000.
That's what I'm saying. And that if anyone has 120,000, you can work out how you will be able to cope with it.
Cut your coat according to your cloth.
And in addition, government also has plan. The president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, he has rolled out a lot of things that they want to do. Even at state level, they also want to do a lot of things to bring down food inflation, interest rate, and a lot of other things. So if
you well know,
if these are brought onto the table,
the markets are not determined by plans that are in the pipeline.
But some are already working. There are no hanging fruit. Look at what His Excellency development
economists and political economists. We thank you very much indeed for your time here this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have to go on
I'm on the side of labor and